Hello and welcome to the Enhancing Your English podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Demi, and today is episode 6, Body Expressions, part 1. Now, today, we're going to look at 10 expressions in English that have to do with different parts of the body. And since there are so many expressions in English that are related to the body, we'll call this episode part 1. So we'll do 10 expressions today, and we'll do more in future podcasts. The first 3 expressions I chose because they might be a little confusing, and it might be hard to guess their meanings just by hearing or looking at the words. The next 6 I picked because they are, in my opinion, pretty common. And the last one I chose because I think, well, it's a good story. So, let's get started. Our first expression today is to break a leg. Now, if someone tells you to break a leg, strangely, they're wishing you good luck. This expression is most often said to performers, such as actors, actresses, dancers, musicians, right before they give a performance. And let's take a look at an example dialogue. In this conversation between two people, Person A says, "Oh, I'm acting in our school play this weekend. I have the lead role." Lead role meaning the most important part. And Person B answers, "Wow, that's great. Break a leg," meaning good luck. Now, why would someone say break a leg in this kind of situation? Well, the origin of this expression is not clear. But one of the most common explanations is that some performers were, and are, superstitious. And they thought that if you wished someone good luck before a performance, then that person would have bad luck on the stage. But if you told someone to break a leg, which is something bad, then the performer would have good luck instead. Now, honestly, that doesn't make much sense to me. But, just so you know, if someone tells you to break a leg someday because you're going to perform or do something, don't get angry, don't punch them, because actually they're hoping you have good luck. Our next expression also has to do with legs, and it's "I'm pulling your leg." If someone is pulling your leg, they are joking with you, or trying to trick you, but maybe trick you in a fun and joking kind of way. In this example, Person A says, "Are you ready for the test today?" And Person B says, What do you mean? The test is next week." Then Person A says, No, the teacher moved up the date." Person B says, "What?" And Person A finishes by saying, "Don't worry, it's next week. I'm just pulling your leg," meaning I'm just joking with you. Now, it's not clear where this expression comes from, and this expression was maybe more common in the 20th century than it is now in the 21st century. But it's still one that you might hear, and again, it's not easy to guess the meaning from just seeing the words. Our third expression is to put your foot in your mouth. And this expression means to say something embarrassing, foolish, or inappropriate. This expression is said to date to the 18th century. And in our example, Julia, a woman, and Mike, a man, are talking at a party, and they have just met each other. And Julia asks, "So Mike, what do you do?" Meaning, what's your job? And Mike answers, "I work at Johnson Publishing, but actually, I'm looking for a new job. I don't really like the owner, Bill Johnson." And Julia says, "Oh, that's interesting." And Mike says, "Why?" And Julia says, "Because Bill Johnson's my husband." So in this situation, Mike put his foot in his mouth. He said something that was embarrassing and definitely not a good idea. Now, the next few expressions we're going to look at are ones that I think are fairly common. And the next one is one that I use a lot, and it's to play it by ear. And this basically means to not have a set plan, but to decide something later when the time comes. In this example, Person A says, "Do you want to go out and get some dinner tonight after work?" And person B answers, "Well, I might be tired. Let's wait and play it by ear." Meaning, let's wait and we'll decide later at that time. And this expression originally came from music, when someone would try to play a piece of music without looking at the notes on the music sheet. They would use their ear to try to figure out what note came next without any other help. And over time, this expression also came to mean making a decision later, when the time came, without having a set plan beforehand. Our fifth expression is to have a gut feeling, or to go with your gut. In this case, your gut basically means your stomach or intestines or kind of deep inside that area of your body. And this expression basically means to kind of have a deep feeling about something, similar to using your intuition or instinct to make a decision. When people use this idea of your gut in making decisions, it's different from using your mind or your logic. Your mind or logic, your thinking, may give you one answer, but your gut or your intuition, your feeling, may tell you something different. And the reason for your feeling may be hard to explain in words. In our example, let's say person B is deciding between taking two jobs, one in Boston and one in Chicago. And person A asks, "Have you decided which job you're going to take?" And person B answers, "Well, the job in Boston has a higher salary and I'd be able to travel a lot, which would be nice. But, for some reason, the job in Chicago just kind of feels right to me. So I'm going to go with my gut and take the Chicago job." Meaning that this person's making the decision based on a deep feeling or intuition. Our next expression is to be in over your head. And this means to be in a situation that is too difficult for you to do or deal with. The image for this expression is that you're trying to swim, but the water level is too high. It's over your head, and you can't make it. You're drowning. Here's an example. The businessman, who had no political experience, was made president of the country. It soon became clear that he didn't know what he was doing and that he was in over his head, meaning that the job was too difficult for him to handle or deal with. And a similar and related expression is when you say something is over your head. And this means that an idea or subject is too difficult to understand. For example, someone says, "I'm taking a physics class this semester, and I'm having a hard time understanding the material. It's really over my head." This means that the level of the class is too high, and it's difficult for the person to understand. Our seventh expression is "it's a pain in the neck," which is often shortened to "it's a pain" or "what a pain." And if something's a pain or a pain in the neck, it means something that's bothersome or annoying or something that you don't want to do. In this example, a person is complaining and saying, "I had to come into work early every day this week, and now my boss wants me to work on the weekend too. What a pain." Meaning that this is really annoying and I don't want to do it. And also, you can call a person a pain too, such as, "He's such a pain." And you're saying that that person is annoying or someone who bothers you. Now, our eighth expression is to have skeletons in your closet. If you have a skeleton in your closet, it means that you have a secret that you don't want anyone else to find out about. The image for this expression comes from the idea where someone kills another person and leaves the dead body of that person in their closet. Over time, all that becomes left of the dead person is their skeleton or their bones. However, maybe the killer is always worried that the skeleton will be found and the secret revealed, which would be a big problem for them. Now, of course, when this expression is used today, it's generally not about killing or murder. the secret that someone may be trying to hide might be something like stealing money from their company or having sex with someone when they're already married to someone else. Here's an example sentence. Person A says, "Did you hear that Frank got fired yesterday?" And fired means that Frank lost his job. And person B says, "No, what happened?" "Well, his supervisor found out he'd been in jail twice, once for drugs and once for robbery." And person B says, "Wow, I had no idea. I guess he had some skeletons in his closet," meaning he had some secrets that he didn't want others to know. Our next expression is to get something off your chest. If you get something off your chest, you tell about something that's been bothering you. In this example, imagine two roommates are talking, and roommate A says, "I have to get something off my chest. For the last month, I've been doing almost all the cleaning around here. I'm getting really tired of it." And roommate B says, "I'm sorry. I've been really busy at work the last few weeks. I'll try to do my share from now on. I'm really sorry." So roommate A got something off her chest. She told about something that was bothering her. And our 10th and final expression today is not an extremely common one, but it has an interesting story to go along with it. And this expression is to turn a blind eye. Now, being blind means that you cannot see. However, in this expression, if you turn a blind eye, you pretend not to see something, or pretend not to see someone doing something wrong. Here's an example sentence. Anna saw a young girl take a flower from her garden. But Anna turned a blind eye because the girl had always been friendly to her, meaning that Anna pretended not to see it or didn't worry about it. Now, this expression comes from a story from history. In 1801, the British were fighting against Denmark on the sea at the Battle of Copenhagen. Some of the British ships were commanded by then Vice Admiral Horatio Nelson. And Horatio Nelson was a very famous figure and captain in British history. 7 years earlier, while fighting against the French, Nelson had been injured in his right eye, and he had lost sight in that eye. So basically, he was blind in one of his eyes. During the Battle of Copenhagen, the fighting was very intense, very difficult, and the commander of all the British ships, Admiral Parker, sent a signal or message to the other ships. And he did this by using a system of flags. His message told the commanders of the other ships to retreat, meaning to stop fighting and turn back because the situation was too dangerous. Now, Horatio Nelson was told about the signal, but he didn't want to stop fighting because he thought the British could still win the battle. So using his telescope, he held the telescope up to his blind eye, the one he couldn't see with, and he pretended that he couldn't see the signal. He then told the other sailors on his ship, "I can't see the signal, so let's keep fighting." He did, and because of that, the battle turned out well for the British. And because of his bravery, Nelson was then made commander of the entire British force. So from this story, we get this expression, which today means to pretend that you don't see something. Well, that's all we have for today. So as always, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Enhancing Your English podcast. As always, if you have any comments or questions, you can contact me at kevin@enhancingyourenglish.com. And if you like the show, please leave a rating and review for the podcast at the iTunes Store, and please tell a friend to help me spread the word. So thanks again for listening, and best of luck enhancing your English.